Hello, nonprofit friends. This is Jean Holmes. I founded All Systems Go Consulting a few years ago to help small and medium-sized nonprofits with their fundraising, their strategy, and AI training and adoption. And that's why you're here today. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what AI is. We're going to talk about what it's good at and what it's not so good at. We'll look at some use cases. We'll discuss the risks and guardrails you need to put in place. And then we'll talk about what nonprofit leaders should be thinking about right now in order to move forward. And before we go any further, I want to thank Toby Brune of Foundations Community Partnership for hosting this webinar and hosting a lot of really great nonprofit trainings in the last couple of years. We're really grateful for everything you do in the community. So this is AI Basics Without the Hype, what you really need to know. The first of a three-part series, which will continue in the next 2 months. The next will be the AI Ready Leader, what you should be thinking about now. And the final will be Prompt Like a Pro, better questions, better results. So AI should not be about replacing people. It's about strengthening your team by removing friction and giving you more time to spend with your clients and donors and building your teams and creating sustainable strategies. So we want to remove the bottlenecks, automate the repetitive tasks, and reduce the administrative load that's keeping you from those mission-critical priorities. That said, it's normal to have some fear. There is a lot of uncertainty around AI right now. There's no judgment from me about any concerns you have about AI. And there's no urgency. You don't have to change the entire way your organization works in order to start working with AI. You don't have to figure everything out today. And just like with any new disruptive technology, like what happened with the internet 25 years ago, it's wise to learn to figure out what makes sense for you and your organization and move forward with your mission and your strategic plan leading the way. Today, I'll give you a practical orientation so that you can participate in AI conversations with confidence. We will mostly be talking about generative AI, which means platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and there are others. We'll also touch on automation. Take in what resonates, leave what doesn't. Learning is a process. What is AI? Well, it's really like a giant prediction machine. You've probably either heard of something like this or done it yourself. You pull up ChatGPT, you put in a simple prompt, and seconds later you get an answer. Polished, complete. In this example, you want some language to send a neighbor a quick email. ChatGPT gives a friendly answer and even asks a follow-up question in case you want to add some additional detail to the note. How does it do this? Let's boil down some very advanced technology to the basics. Number one, the platform has been provided with huge amounts of data. Think Library of Congress plus like everything on the internet, huge. And then software engineers train the platform. Training is the process of feeding an AI platform lots of examples so it learns patterns in language and can generate likely responses to new prompts. And then finally it gets fine-tuned by humans. Then from those patterns, it uses probabilities and statistics to predict the answer literally one word at a time. It doesn't know things the way you and I do. The current iteration of AI is, for all intents and purposes, a giant prediction machine. When you're using it, think of it as a very eager, bright intern. It wants to please you, but it doesn't have the experience or judgment that you have. That's why it writes well, but sometimes it makes mistakes. We'll talk about some of those mistakes in a few minutes. You'll hear a bunch of different phrases describing different types of AI, but there's really just a few that you need to be concerned about. Machine learning is what we just described. Computers learn patterns from data to make predictions or decisions without being programmed with step-by-step rules, like the rules that software engineers, when they're coding, make. Predictive and generative AI fall into that machine learning category. Predictive AI actually has been around and has been used by businesses for data analytics for 75 years. It's basically forecasting using probabilities. But what's new with predictive AI is that it can now organize unstructured data. Where we used to need software engineers to write hours and hours of code to clean and organize data, now predictive AI does that in seconds without all that heavy lifting. Generative AI, what you've been hearing about the most, generates new content. That's like the Chat GPT example I showed you in the previous slide. So let's talk about what AI does well and then what it doesn't do well. And I want to pause here to say, because it's important, that AI is not perfect. AI can be very confidently wrong. Always verify with human judgment. Again, we'll talk about that more in a few minutes. But it does do certain things well. It can create new content based on your amazing prompts. It can help break down complex ideas to help you understand them. Ask AI to explain quantum physics as if you're an 8th grader and watch the light bulb go on. It can translate into other languages very quickly. Again, always make sure you have a human that checks this work. It can automate repetitive tasks. This can be a huge time saver in an area that doesn't require as much critical thinking. And it can analyze big data much more efficiently than in the past. Think of it like an advanced autocomplete, not a thinking brain. So in this example here, we asked, we put in the prompt that you are a master storyteller. My organization helps match mentors with mentees. Give me some ideas for telling our success stories in unique ways and perhaps unique channels. And the response that it gave me is much longer than what I just pasted in here. It actually, I think, gave me 10 different unique ways to tell the stories. But you can see this was a very useful practice for brainstorming. So whenever you have that blank page problem, you can turn to generative AI to help you with ideas. It is also worth noting that different platforms have different niche capabilities. Like, for instance, ChatGPT is really good with like marketing language and describing things. Perplexity is a platform that's really good at research and computation. Okay, so let's look at some of the limitations of these AI platforms. Number one is it's bad at preventing hallucinations. In other words, it causes hallucinations. Not great wording there. But all those examples on the right are hallucinations. Pretty remarkable. There are ways to cut down on the likelihood of hallucinations, and we'll talk about that in the third webinar in the series on prompting. But another example I'll give you right now. Say you put in the prompt, can you put an elephant in a standard refrigerator and close the door? AI's very bad answer might be, yes, remove the shelves, put the elephant in carefully, then close the door. It really can't do that, at least not in my refrigerator. AI is also bad at policing bias. Platforms and data were created by humans, and humans have biases. AI magnifies those biases. It's not great with all but the most basic math. It's getting better, but you can see on the example on the right that it got a pretty basic math problem wrong. It's not great with tone or authenticity. AI's communication style is very generic. I don't know about you, but I can spot AI-generated communications that haven't been edited from a mile away. It has a very bland tone, which is not the same as style, which you can replicate with some success using generative AI. Try putting something in the style of Shakespeare or Hemingway and see what you get. AI does not have the judgment, the human experience, the discernment that you and I have. It cannot reflect. It does not have ethics or morals of its own. There may be some boundaries programmed in by the platform's creators, but hackers are usually able to trick them. Somatic shortcuts is something that humans have that AI does not have, and that's basically gut instincts that we have that's based on experience. It speaks a little bit to the discernment and judgment. And of course, there is the carbon footprint. AI takes an enormous amount of energy. So always check output for accuracy and common sense gaps, and edit for tone. And please make sure anything you repeat or publish from AI output reflects your values and experiences. And remember, even experts are learning as this technology evolves. Guess what? You're already using AI, whether you know it or not. Almost all of the platforms and digital tools out there have AI embedded in them by now. Grammarly, Canva, GuideStar, wealth screening tools if you use them. There's just a few examples. Most of the browsers that you and I use, notably Chrome and Microsoft Edge, they have chatbots ready to give AI answers to your questions. In our next webinar, we'll talk about why this is important and how to make sure your vendors are keeping your data and your clients' and donors' privacy safe. So there are some basic ways nonprofits can leverage AI to save time. And the goal should always be to make time for higher value tasks like relationship building and strategy. Sometimes we all have that empty page problem, and AI can help clear blockages. Maybe it's just a phrase you're having trouble with. Maybe it's turning a messy page of notes into something that makes sense. That happens to me a lot. Or explaining complex topics in plain language, or automating repetitive tasks. But again, it's important to always keep a human in the loop. Human in the loop, or HITL, is a phrase that's now becoming common, which describes inserting people into AI processes for quality control and accuracy. There are even HITL-specific jobs in spaces like content moderation, search engine and social media evaluation, and customer support. Here are some next-level AI uses that I'm seeing some nonprofits move toward. They have higher upside, but they also have higher risk of failure, higher risk of harm if you don't add guardrails. You'll see here use cases, upside, and risks to manage. So for instance, if you use AI to personalize outreach, maybe you want to customize newsletters based on user preferences or interests. You're likely to get a higher response rate, but you also risk being creepy or just plain getting it wrong or having the wrong tone. In the grants example, you could use AI to help with writing and benefit from faster and tighter alignment with the funder, but risk some pretty high stakes mistakes and trust issues. There are already several websites like Grantable, Granted AI, and others that will do these kinds of things. As always, keep a human in the loop to verify facts and police the tone. I recommend that you start internal, low-stakes AI pilots. Evaluate the results before going any further. So if you're just experimenting with platforms like ChatGPT, the most basic thing to learn about AI is good prompting, or prompt engineering, or prompt crafting. You want to learn how to use your critical thinking to create the best inputs or questions possible. The quality of the output depends heavily on the quality of the prompt or question that you have. Again, I refer to thinking of platforms like ChatGPT as that bright, eager intern who wants to impress you, but they lack the experience and judgment that you have, and you always have to check their work. Give that intern very clear instructions, and you're likely to get better results. Again, we'll go over a very useful prompting formula that I developed in the third webinar in this series. So we already talked about some of these, but it is worth repeating some of the risks. These are manageable risks if we slow down, stay curious, and center human judgment. Hallucinations. Again, AI can be very confident and very wrong. If it doesn't know the answer that you're looking for, it will make something up. Bias reflects inequalities in training data created by humans. It can reinforce those biases and stereotypes if it's not reviewed by a human. Privacy and data use. Public tools do not equal confidential spaces. Never input sensitive client or donor data into your platform. Now, enterprise tools have these checks and balances in place, but it's always advisable to check what they are, how they work, and protect your organization. Over-reliance on AI is a real concern. We often feel the need for speed, the desire to please, and that can make us susceptible to using AI output quickly without proofing or editing. There are a lot of unproven tools out there. There are hundreds, probably thousands of new AI tools or AI-powered tools that, frankly, are not that good. So vet your tools carefully. Ask a lot of questions. Training and policy is lagging. I cannot recommend strongly enough that you make sure your company crafts an AI policy that is thoughtfully planned out so that you can take advantage of the great things AI can do for you while managing the risks responsibly. These are manageable risks if you understand them and plan for them. Remember, you are the thought leader, and AI is a tool, and tools can be used for good or for bad. And finally, remember that you have choice and you have agency. You get to decide where AI belongs in your work, in your organization. You don't have to use it everywhere. You don't have to use it at all. Use AI to solve business problems and reduce friction. Do not use AI for the sake of using AI. So as leaders, you could be thinking about these following things. Where could AI reduce burnout? What boundaries do we need? Who decides how we use it and who uses it? How do we protect the trust of clients and donors and staff? Really, this is less about tools and more about leadership, conversation, accountability, trust. So, our key takeaways: AI really is everywhere now in the tools and services we use. Predictive AI and generative AI are the two big categories. Predictive AI forecasts and generative AI creates. AI's use obviously is growing fast, but policies and training lag. We have some risks with accuracy, bias, privacy, over-reliance, and a few more. AI works in a couple different ways. We can automate tasks or co-intelligence, and that's a phrase I haven't used yet, but that's basically, again, saying you are the thought leader and AI is your thought partner or a tool. And as nonprofit leaders, we have a responsibility to make sure that our staff feel safe using these tools. So thank you for taking the time and initiative to learn with me today. Again, I want to thank Foundation's Community Partnership for the opportunity to share this webinar with you. And I look forward to seeing you at next month's webinar, The AI Ready Leader, What You Should Be Thinking About Now, which will be geared toward executive directors and board members who are feeling the pressure to do something with AI, but aren't sure where to begin. Again, my name is Jean Holmes with All Systems Go Consulting. If you want to keep learning with structured, ethical guidance, I offer AI training for organizations and teams at reasonable prices. As always, I appreciate all of you nonprofiters out there making the world a better place. You are awesome. Have a wonderful day.